Welcome to the Big Tech Gut Check for the week of February 19th, 2024. This is a super quick weekly update on all things social media and big tech, basically everything parents need to know. So let's get into it. School-issued devices were in the news this week. If you have a kid in public school or even private school, your child likely has a school-issued device. So the news this week reported a young girl being groomed on Discord on the Chromebook that her school provided for her. This happened in Bakersfield, California. A fifth grader's dad was printing a book report from her Chromebook and spotted a tab where she was logged into Discord. The dad was able to view a chat that his daughter was having with a stranger, someone claiming to be a 14-year-old transgender boy. What this dad read in his 10-year-old daughter's chat was devastating. She was being sexually groomed on her school device. This is happening a lot, and parents everywhere are checking their children's school devices for concerning apps like Discord. After hearing the story, I popped into my first grade son's classroom and asked to check his iPad. I checked for a few of the most concerning apps for kids. I'm going to list them now so that you can check too. Discord, TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube, Kik, that's spelled K-I-K, Tinder, Roblox, and WhatsApp. All of these apps allow children to talk to strangers, which is where the issues come in. Predators flock to kid-oriented websites like these. In my case, my first grade son has access to adult YouTube and Roblox on his iPad at school. So I've sent out an email to the principal and the tech administrator at the district to ask that these apps be restricted on school-issued devices, and I recommend that you do the same thing. Moving on, as you probably know, there is a suicide epidemic happening, especially in youth. Suicide is now the second leading cause of death among people aged 15 to 24 in the U.S. 20% of high school students report serious thoughts of suicide, and 9% have made an attempt to take their own lives. We're talking young children. In a couple of weeks, I'm interviewing a mom of an 11-year-old who died by suicide after an extreme addiction to social media. Social media and screen time is playing a huge role in this mental health crisis, hence the name of my podcast, Scrolling to Death. So tech companies are attempting some new things with AI related to suicide. New AI technology is being deployed that analyzes social media posts for signs of suicide intent and then intervenes through different strategies like a direct message. One headline stated that this new technology is the next frontier for suicide prevention. One of the companies that produce this AI technology is called Samurai Labs. Samurai reported that on Reddit alone, they detected more than 25,000 suicide posts from January to November of last year. And they reported that about 10% of people who received a support message contacted a suicide helpline. But there are concerns being expressed, like the fact that predicting who is likely to attempt suicide is difficult. There's a lot of variability in what leads up to a self-harm attempt. And that the technology is casting too wide of a net. If many people see these support messages too many times, they're likely going to start to ignore them. While I am happy to see technologies being produced to support people who are struggling online, I feel like we should stay focused on fixing the broken design of the platforms that are making kids depressed and suicidal. If we take away the addictive features and algorithmic self-harm content on social media, our kids will put the phone down more often, engage more face-to-face, and that will make a positive difference in their mental health. AI has also been in the news a lot regarding deepfake nudes. You've probably heard that generative AI is being used to take clothed photos of people, of teenagers, of children, and remove their clothes to make them look realistically naked. This technology is being used by a ton of high school boys on their female classmates. It's all over the news. It happened to Taylor Swift. And this week, the target was a popular podcast host named Bobby Altoff. Her podcast is called The Really Good Podcast. It's pretty funny. But Bobby realized that she was trending on Twitter, only to be shocked at the reason that she was trending. She found a video of her masturbating on a bed. Bobby let followers know immediately that this video is not her and is AI generated. AI generated porn like this is rampant, and legislation is struggling to keep up. There is a bill called the Preventing Deepfake Images Act that has bipartisan support in Washington, but until law catches up with technology, like it ever will, parents are urged to speak with their kids about keeping photos private. And this is yet another reminder that it's really no longer safe to be sharing photos of our young children online. Next up is your weekly update on Snapchat featuring pedophiles. A middle school track and field coach in Albuquerque, New Mexico was arrested for sending sexual photos to students on Snapchat. A 28-year-old man in the UK was sentenced to 10 years in prison for sending sexual messages to a 13-year-old girl on Snapchat. He convinced her to share her location, and then he raped her. Snapchat's Snap Map functionality allows our kids to share their location with anyone they meet on Snapchat. A 30-year-old man in Portland, Oregon was sentenced to 20 years in prison for sexually abusing children on Snapchat. And in the worst of the worst that you will hear today, a 19-year-old man was arrested for sexually grooming a 6-year-old on Snapchat. He threatened to hurt the child's parents if the child didn't send videos and still photos. A 6-year-old on Snapchat. Snapchat is not safe for children. Unrestricted smartphones are not safe for children. Please stop giving your kids access to predators through these devices and platforms, please. Last update for the week. Florida has made progress on a social media ban for kids under 16. The bill has passed through the Florida House of Representatives and the Senate, despite concerns about parental rights and First Amendment issues. It's now sitting on the desk of Governor Ron DeSantis to sign and make it official. The bill would restrict kids under 16 from signing up for social media accounts regardless of parent approval. The names of the specific social media platforms have not yet been identified, but these companies will need to implement some kind of age verification technology to determine the user's age. And they'll need to delete current accounts of minors under 16. Age verification has been controversial as we expect minors to easily find a way around the verification, just as we all figured out how to fool the cashier at a liquor store with our fake IDs. I will keep you posted on what Governor DeSantis decides on this ban. Either way, social media remains a threat to children. Parents should be proactive in restricting and delaying their kids' access to social media for as long as they can. I've heard from experts multiple times. Once your kid is on social media, their childhood is over. That's it for this week's Big Tech Gut Check here on Scrolling to Death. I'll see you next week.